Kimberly here. This is Macabish, Cults, Classics, and Horrors. We're talking films, series, books, and life, and we're starting right now. Welcome, Adam Deyoe, director, Decade of the Dead, and Dead Season.
When I was like 9, 10 years old, there was this game called Monkey Island. It's a computer game. It's a point and click adventure game where you like walk around and pick up stuff and talk to people. King's Quest, these like 80s and 90s point and click adventure games. I really loved Monkey Island. It was my favorite thing. And I know it's not a normal beginning of filmmaking, but I wanted to make the movie version of Monkey Island.
Oh,
that was the thing. I was just like, I was driven to do that. So when I was younger, I made this little video game. I made like a sequel to Monkey Island, and it was just like me and my friends hand drawing everything, and I was just desperate to make that. Then, I mean, years later, Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and that was Monkey Island. I think Disney bought the rights to Monkey Island at that point, just because it's just so similar. Monkey Island was based on the ride Pirates of the Caribbean, parts of it. I don't know if you know this game. It's from like 1990.
I don't remember that one.
Little pixel art game, and so yeah, that's what got me started in that.
Cool.
Strangely, never made that, obviously, and then in high school, I worked at a video store, like many of us did, and had my own section, which had like 50 movies in it. And
nice.
I always tried to hawk that on every single person in the video store. Like, I wanted them to watch Jim Jarmusch movies and George Romero movies and Spike Lee, and that nobody wanted to watch because they all wanted to watch, I don't know,
Titanic,
A Beautiful Mind, or whatever.
Right, right.
What was the video store?
It was called Video Revolution in Concord, Massachusetts. It's
Cool.
It was like because that's where the Revolutionary War was, and so it was Video Revolution, a mom and pop store.
Cool.
And a lot of my friends who worked at that store have gone on to, they moved. Some of them moved out here with me. Some of them moved to New York, and we all work in some type of movie related situation.
Awesome.
My friend Rob, who worked there with me, he just helped edit the new Naked Gun movie, and
no way.
which I loved. I just loved that movie.
Is it good? I still haven't watched it.
Oh my god, it's good.
Oh, I can't wait, man.
So good.
Oh, awesome. Glad to hear.
Yeah. So we worked at the video store. I wasn't super into horror movies at the time. Oh, I guess I was. Evil Dead 2 was my favorite thing ever, pretty much, which I saw at this guy Rob's house one night at like midnight. We watched it. And we were always trying to find the old video nasties and stuff. It was super into American Movie, the Mark Borchardt thing, and so that really inspired me quite a bit. Coven, and yeah, that's the beginning. And so then in high school I made 2 feature videos that were terrible. Both were horror movies, and really fun to make. And then I went to Emerson College in Boston, where I met a lot of my people that I work with now, and we made a zombie movie in college called The Mental Dead, which I think we're re-releasing at this sometime soon.
Good.
It's pretty good movie. I was just remastering it, and I was like, oh, it's very gory and ridiculous. We made it for $80, but it's probably better than anything I've made since.
Awesome.
But yeah, we've had some interest in re-releasing it. But that was the first movie I ever sold, and we made it for $80. I sold it for $5,000 to this guy named Todd Michael Smith, who you may or may not know. He made a movie called Splatter Farm. Do you know this movie?
I do know that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Splatter Farm is crazy. It was a VHS movie. I think he edited it with 2 VCRs. And the Polina brothers made it with him. Do you know those guys?
I don't know.
I've heard that.
They made like they've made a lot of weirds. They're these two brothers. One of them I think recently died, but they're twins, and they made all these movies with this guy Todd Michael Smith. Todd Michael Smith also died many years ago, but you should check out their movies. They're really weird and all like video movies, really disgusting films. But Splatter Farm is. But so you've seen Splatter Farm?
I think I have probably a dub. I think it's a dub on a VHS I found in a thrift store.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be digging for it today because I'm pretty sure I have it.
Yeah, it's a wild one. I have it on DVD. I think I got it from him directly. So it's
cool.
Yeah, that's
awesome. That's a nice piece to have.
So then, so we did that. Mental Dead. And that was the thing that, like, I think that's the thing that from $80 selling something for $5,000, I was like, instant filmmaker. That was like, I can't believe my first movie got sold and people watched it, which was pretty cool. It played at some random festivals and things back, I don't know when that was, 2003, maybe 2004. I found, this is such a random thing, like maybe like 6 months ago, somebody on Reddit was talking about this Yeti movie. There's this, in the background of many of the scenes, there's a painting, like a Keith Haring style painting of somebody's butthole, basically. And people on Reddit were like, how can I get a copy of this painting? And then I happened to see it because I think I had an alert or something for Google Alert or something, and so I wrote to the people and I was like, well, I have this painting, and they're like, I need it for my friend's birthday. So I took like a high-res picture of it and sent it. But then somebody else chimed in and was like, there's this other movie I made called Street Team Massacre that nobody's seen, pretty much. And somebody on Reddit was just like, did you make Street Team Massacre? And I said, yeah, like nobody saw that movie. And he's like, I found a copy of it at a thrift store. And I was like, but that movie never got a DVD or Blu-ray release. It just never did. Troma released it just online. And we did make some Blu-rays recently, but to do something with, I don't know what yet. And the guy, I was like, can you send me a picture of this DVD? Like, what is it? And it was a burnt DVD with my handwriting on it, with my phone number on it and everything, that I guess I gave to a film festival. Like I was handing them out or something for screeners. And so he found the screener, and it had a case on it too that was printed out from my printer that like had like, the printer lines, the ink was running out. I was like, this guy just had it. And he's like, yeah, I found it in a thrift store in Texas. I was like,
yes, dude, those are the best.
It was like, I must have made 10 copies of it. So that happening is super weird. So,
well, that's also the kind of thing I love hunting for, right? Like when I go to thrift stores, that's the kind of shit I want to find, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's rare, and like
so rare.
You and 10 other people have seen this movie. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, I go on Letterboxd. That movie has one review, because it just never got released. Yeah. So but cool. Yeah, I play. But the connection for Texas, I believe, is that it did premiere at the Austin Film Festival. That movie. So back in 2007, 2008, something like that. So that's how it must have gotten to a thrift store in Texas, right? Oh. After that, so that was in college. I think I was a sophomore in college at Emerson, and I met another group of friends that really liked horror movies. Specifically, this guy Eric Goslin, who's still one of my very good friends. And me and him from then on, going forward, we directed 4 movies together. Like we co-directed them and wrote them together. We were camping. After I did the Mental Dead, that was my movie, and but I had met this guy Matt Mangiarides, who you guys may or may not know. He's pretty big in the low budget horror scene. He also is the producer with this guy Justin. They make the show Joe Bob Briggs, The Last Drive-In, right? So they make that show. I just won a Chainsaw Award at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards for unscripted.
Cool.
But Matt, he worked at a video store as well, and in Boston, and which was right near my apartment when I was going to Emerson. and I had wanted to make this zombie movie, but I didn't know a ton about zombie movies at the time. I just wanted to make one. So I went to this video store and I met him. He was the clerk at the video store. And I was like, I want to make a zombie movie. And he's like, oh my God, I do special effects. So we became friends. And he's like, here, take all these zombie movies. He gave me all this full sheet. And he was like, watch this one, and then report back. So I like had a stack, and me and my roommates watched the movies. And Matt, I was like, all right, I wrote this script. We had this abandoned and mental institution that I wanted to shoot at, which I ended up not being able to get the permits to shoot at. So we just like randomly shot it at random churches and my high school. We shot it in the tunnels under my high school and all this, stuff. But Matt and I stayed in touch for a little bit, and he did the special effects. Fast forward, so my friend Eric and I made this movie called Yeti, a Love Story, which got renamed Yeti, a Gay Love Story by Troma when they released it. But it's about a homophobic frat guy who ends up falling in love with a gay Yeti in the woods. There's a lot of stories that go with that. But anyway, Eric and I had our friend Moses wrote this. We had an idea about a gay Yeti, and we thought, oh, that'd be so funny if there was a Yeti out in the woods of New Hampshire, because that doesn't make sense, because it would more be a Bigfoot. It's just stupid crap we were talking about. But we ended up making this movie. That movie cost $200 to make, and it's pretty funny. We made a sequel to it too, which I'll get to later. But going back, that movie is very, very. Its heart is definitely in the right place. I mean, there was not very many queer horror films at the time. This was 2005, 2004 we made it. So it a lot of people really attached to it. I'm very proud of that, and it's very, progressive in theory, but there's a lot of bad language in it that I do not approve of at this point. That I would never. The frat guys are saying horrible things that I hate. Yeah. And I wrote it as like, at the time we wrote it, we're like, yeah, that's how they would talk. They're assholes. They're terrible. They're supposed to be homophobic. And then he, starts having sex with the Yetis. But it's harsh to watch right now. Again, its heart is definitely in the right place. And we knew what we were trying to do. I just don't think it comes across now in 2025 as it's like a Kevin Smith movie back then. You're like, oh, yeah. You don't, right. The heart's in the right place, but you just like, you don't like the language in it, so
right.
But the thing is, for that time it was real though, right? Like, and so I think the people that it would offend now would have watched it back then and fucking totally been behind it, right? So,
which is even me. Like, looking back now, I am offended by it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the movie, it found its place. I mean, people have tattoos of this movie. A lot of people have reached out. A lot of queer people being like, this movie really affected me. This was and I was like, that's great. That was the point. But it's just
right.
So we made that movie, and that movie. The reason why I bring up this guy Matt before is we were just like, we never thought we'd release it. I mean, we made it in 5 days for $200. My mom made the Yeti costume. It's like, it is awesome. Definitely X-rated, intensely X-rated. And then
was there Yeti dick in it?
Yeti dick?
Yeah.
I mean, our main joke of the movie was like, why do women always have to get naked in movies? So all of my friends, it's just, the whole movie is just penis.
Yes.
So
perfect.
That's the kind of like the main joke about it. We're like, how many dicks can we put in a movie? Yeah, I mean, it's equal opportunity. I mean, everybody's naked in the film, but it's it was just like friends in college just throwing this together. Like, we even just like found people on MySpace that were just like, do you want to be naked and moving? People were like, sure, buy me some ice cream and I'll come do it. So like random people would just come and show up in like our basement, and we'd be like, all right, here we go. It was Cold Stone Creamery. I remember at the time the woman wanted Cold Stone, so I was like, okay, sure.
Good stuff.
So we sent that movie to Troma, never thinking that anybody would watch it, and we got a call. They're like, somebody's like, our interns watched this movie, they really loved it, we want to release your film. And I was like, oh wow, okay. Turned out that the acquisitions person at Troma at the time, and we didn't have that connection because we forgot about each other because it was years later, it was that guy Matt, who was working at the video store before, and he was just like, are you Adam from Boston? And I was like, oh my god, Matt. And so he ended up being the one who like championed that film after that. We didn't, when the interns watched it and when Matt first called me, we didn't know that it was the guy that had made The Mental Dead with me. We had no idea. So that was kind of cool. A cool connection.
Yeah, wow.
But we made the Yeti movie, and we wrote the script and everything, and I had been going a lot to this place called Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is like gay town, Massachusetts. It's like at the very tip of Cape Cod, on the beach. And John Waters lives there half the year, filmmaker John Waters. And me and him became friends from the film festival. And you
and John Waters?
Yes.
No way.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I don't know him anymore, really. I mean, we see each other occasionally, but he used to read my scripts and give me notes and things. It was he's just like the most wonderful person in the world. It was like, kind of a little mentor situation, but I didn't really fully get into it. He would invite me to parties and things when we were in Provincetown, and he introduced me to all these cool people, like other queer filmmakers, like Greg Araki, or and people like him. But he read I pitched him the Yeti movie before we made it, and he gave me the go ahead. He's like, yeah, you got to do this. But I can't. Again, it's like the bad language. I'm at a party, and it was an opening for John Waters, like an art opening or something, and he's like, oh, I want to hear about this movie. And I told him about it, and I was like, oh, I want to make this Yeti movie about this Yeti that has sex with homophobic frat guys in the woods, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, huh, interesting. He's like, let me think about it or whatever. And I was like, okay. And he walked away. And then like 45 minutes later, he came back and he's like, I have a problem with your movie. And I was like, oh, okay. What is it? And he's like, well, it's a Yeti, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, does it take place in the winter? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, he's like, well, it takes place in New Hampshire, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, is it going to be snowing? And I was like, well, probably not, because we have to shoot it really quick. We'll shoot it in the fall, and I don't want to deal with snow. It's going to be too difficult. And he's like, okay, I got no problem with your movie then. You should do it. And I was like, snow is the problem? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, why? And he's like, well, it's a gay film, right? And you're going to have a lot of sex in it. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, and a lot of gay men are going to go see your film. And I was like, okay, sure. And then he goes, if it was really bright, then, so I can't really say this, but this is John Waters saying it. So he goes, well, if it's not snowing, it's not a problem. And I was like, why? He's like, well, snow really will light up the theater. And how are all the gay slur people going to jerk off if it's too bright in the theater? And then he giggled and walked away. So, and I'm like, all right, I guess that's the way to make Yeti a love story. Became Yeti a gay love story. So, but
wow.
Yeah, that's the word that gets used a lot in the film that I can't say.
Yeah.
Don't want to. But I think a lot of people like the film too, because making a queer film. I'm a straight man, and people were just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Why are you doing that? And I was like, I don't know, it just means something to me. So, and that was through Troma, and that was like a dream come true for us. I remember seeing the first statement, because we made it for that movie again, talking about money. We made that movie for $200, and our first statement came in from Troma, and it made $67,000 off of $200. Not for me, but we didn't make anything. We gave it to them, but I was like that made me feel so good. I was like, wow, people are watching this garbage that we made, and I know we thought it was funny, but it was an inside joke, and I didn't know that the inside joke would span all over the world. I mean, millions of people have watched this Yeti movie. It's hard to find right now. It got, I think, banned from Amazon, as well as the sequel for overall lewdness, I guess. But I just think it was just like gay hating kind of thing. But because I mean, they got movies like Nymphomaniac and other Lars von Trier films on Amazon, but they can't have like a lighthearted Yeti film, you know.
Right.
So I don't know.
But
yeah.
It's one of very few films that have been banned from Amazon. So
of course.
was the second one. I think the first one you can still get on there. I don't know, but the second one's really sweet. So just has a lot of male nudity in it again. So I don't know.
Man, the queer fans are gonna be so excited about this.
You got to get Michael Verratti. Do you know that guy?
I don't.
But he's a podcast hero. He just directed the Chainsaw Awards. Actually, he's a good friend of mine. He's in the second Yeti movie. And
cool.
he helped write. He did punch ups on Decade of the Dead. But Michael, he just made a movie called. There's a Zombie Outside, I think it's called. Sorry, Michael, I can't remember. I think that's the name of the movie. But that movie has been doing really well. It's on Tubi right now. And Michael is a wonderful queer filmmaker. And he does a podcast called Midnight Mass with Peaches Christ. So that one's pretty huge, a horror. And they always have like Ming Stoll on and, John Waters people.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of work with the Academy Museum here in LA. And yeah, they're great. But he does a lot of those live podcast things. So got to have Michael on. He's great. He's much more eloquent than me and much more fun. That's where I met like my whole, group of friends there that all were in the Yeti movie, and we all moved out to LA together. Because we did like there was like one half semester here in LA, and we ended up just pretty much all of us staying. As of now, in the last year or so, there has been an exodus of a few people from LA because, the industry is not doing well, and we also don't need to be here anymore, as we did before, like some of us. But my friend Eric lives nearby, and we still, we're thinking about making a third Yeti movie. We're talking about other things that we're trying to make a buddy alien movie, but we might not make that right now. But we want to do another thing together. But man, we have kids, and things are hard. So
I hear that.
But yeah, we all moved out here together. My friend Dave, who starred in the Yeti movie, and we made a lot of movies together. He just he's the head producer of the show called The Rehearsal, that with Nathan Fielder, Canadian, right? Famous one of the most famous Canadians right now. So he made that show. So him and Fielder made that show. So he's busy doing that. He did both seasons. He also did a show called Nathan for You, which you may or may not know. Also, Canadians probably know that very well, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, Carlos.
Yeah. When you're saying people are like leaving Cali for like, because you guys don't have to be there now, like where do you find people are like going to continue in the film industry?
Just some people. It's hard because there is not much happening in film right now. I mean, it's hard because I can get into it a little bit when we start talking about Decade of the Dead, which was my last film. Features are getting really hard to make money to continue. We've tried to make movies just so we can make another one, right? It's not about anything more than that. We just want to keep making them, and it's getting harder and harder, and they're getting spread farther and farther apart. People aren't taking chances on indie films unless you're making like an A24 film, but come on, that's indie. Not really. I mean, there's still millions of dollars. And we make movies for, the first ones we made $80, $200. Then we went up to $1,500. I mean, the next one was $2,000, and then we jumped, or I jumped to make a slightly bigger film. And our last movie is still under $1 million, but it was still expensive, and we just cannot make our money back on these things. I've made about, I think, 12 features, and only 2 of them have made money. But now it seems like with the streaming service, I mean, I could go all over the place. I don't even know where to begin with this question. It's a really good question, but where are people going? I don't know. I think a lot of people are saying I'm gonna do a different job now, and
Oh,
because it
yeah.
just doesn't seem sustainable anymore. We don't want to do this as a business. I don't know anything about the business side of things. I just want to make stuff because it's fun, and I liked seeing people's reaction. Like the Yeti movie I was talking about. It was trash. I mean, trash I like, but I never thought that people would latch onto it like they did. And it makes me feel amazing. Even to this day, I get people reaching out being like, check out this tattoo I got. There's a character named Sex Piss in the movie. He has a tattoo that says Sex Piss. It's my friend Eric, who's the other director who plays that part. And I've seen so many, specifically women with the Sex Piss tattoos. And I'm like, what? They have them like on their crotch, on their butt, like on their shoulder. I was like, why did you do that? It's a terrible idea. It's a terrible tattoo, but it makes me happy. And there's this one woman in Rhode Island. She has this giant tattoo on her leg. And I was just like, that's amazing. It's just so cool. But the industry's so saturated right now. There's so much stuff. I can't, like you loved hunting down these old movies. That's not really a thing anymore, unless you're trying to get physical copies of stuff. That fun is gone. I mean, you got the Netflixes and stuff that again, we can get into it in a little bit, but this movie Dead Season I made, which is a zombie movie we shot in Puerto Rico. I do want to get into that and the business of that, but that movie was released on Netflix and the Sci-Fi Channel. This is in 2012, I believe. It came in 2013, something like that. And it was huge. I mean, that movie is not a favorite of ones that I have made. But that movie was the number 2 film on Netflix for like a month and a half, which was huge. It was only after a movie called a Spanish speaking Will Ferrell film. I can't remember. House of My Father, I think it was called in English. But that was the only movie that was ahead of our movie. And I was like, what? Dead Season is after only a Will Ferrell film for so long. Crazy. It was huge on Netflix. And then it ran on the Sci-Fi Channel, like, at 2 a.m, like every weekend for like 3 years.
That's the first place I saw it. Right. I love that movie so much. Yep.
I'm glad you love it. That's amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was huge. And it made money. And we were shocked because I didn't think it was particularly good. I mean, we tried really hard, but I did find it to be kind of a failure for us in storytelling in a lot of ways. But we made a sequel and Netflix just passed. They didn't even watch it. They said, no, thanks. And I was like, but this was like your biggest film. And they're like, yeah, but it was 10 years ago. So they didn't even care to talk to us. And that seems to keep happening because there's so many films out now, and which is great. It's easy to make a film, but I don't even know where to go to find. I mean, everything's word of mouth now, right? Like if somebody tells me to watch something, I'll watch something, but I can't seek out anything anymore. I can't be like, oh, back then, like, oh, the new Sam Raimi movie came out and like, or whatever, not Sam Raimi, but the new, something smaller,
right.
And there's no hunt anymore. It's all there. And which is great in some ways, but at other times there's no way to, it's not sustainable. It's oversaturated. There's too much going on. The streaming platforms have too much power. And then if you get too many no's, that's it. Your movie's dead, which we can talk about in a bit, but that's what happened to our newest film. And so, which is hard for us because, where do you go from there? Right. So a lot of people can't, like, I have a friend who is a very big writer. Like, she made some of the best stuff. I'm not going to go into it to out her, but she hadn't gotten a writing job in like a year and a half. I mean, the things that she has written, you have all seen and love. Okay, like amazing stuff. She had to sell her house in LA, and she moved back to Canada, and she couldn't afford her mortgage anymore. And I'm talking big stuff she made, right? That was it. Yeah. It got to the point where it was a year and a half, and she's like, I can't do it anymore. She's gone. Yeah. Wow. So stuff like that, and that and some people are still treading water, and some people, like my friend Dave, who made a big show, great, but that's 1 in 100. you know. So
Right.
that's long answer to your short question, but not actually answering the question. Sorry. Give you one example of one person leaving, but yeah, with the Dead Season, when we made that movie, it was like, this movie has to make money or I have to move back home. That was, you
Right.
know, you have these moments where it's like it's all or nothing. And at this point, and you could do that maybe back then because there was more outlets for your film to come out.
Right.
There was more payment, honestly, right? Like you could get a bigger, you know, a minimum guarantee when you sold a film. They were much bigger back then. If you didn't get one from, you know, one distributor, you could get one from another, or you could do an international sales. But they don't have, they're offering a, you know, this was 2012 or whatever, say, right? So this is 13 years ago. The minimum guarantees that people are giving now are an eighth of what they were giving back then, right?
Terrible.
So yeah, it's really hard, and movies are getting cheaper, so that's a good thing. So, you know, but you're having to, you know, make these like really shoestring movies that may or may not come out that great, based on that, because you're trying to keep it so cheap. And I love a cheap movie, right?
Right.
But there's a point, and there's an age, and there's, once you have kids, you can't really just throw things at the wall and see if they stick. You have to be pretty certain about where you're going to go with it, and that's hard right now. So,
Right.
and I think it's going to get worse. So, especially with AI and things like that, making things, especially my job where I actually make money. I'm a visual effects artist, and man, you know, we're getting a quarter of what we had last year for work. So it's hard. Like my partners all did Everything Everywhere All at Once, did the special effects for that, and half of them can't even get work now. And they were nominated for BAFTAs and things, you know, and did that movie for nothing. You know, the rate on that was bare bones. And yeah, even an Academy Award, you know, didn't do much for the people, you know, working in visual effects and stuff like that. So I don't even know. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Not to be depressing. I'm still.
No, well, it's true. So we just all have to deal with it. So, how did you move from the very low budget movies to Dead Season? Like, what was the catalyst that made that possible?
Again, crazy long story. I'll try and keep it concise. But we had made a movie called Psycho Sleepover. We also premiered that at the Austin Film Festival. That was 2008, I believe, and that was a Troma film as well. And afterwards, this was, I think, 2009, we started working on Dead Season. I wanted to make another zombie movie. We had made two previously, The Mental Dead and this movie, Street Team Massacre. But I wanted to do another one. Oh, no, that's not actually true. Okay, I was going to make a comedy. Me and my partner, Enzo, who is my producer and another writer with me, he and I wrote a comedy called Boat, Island, which is basically Triangle of Sadness, if you've seen that. It's but like much stupider. And so we wrote that movie, we never made it. It's pretty funny, Boat Island. I love the title. And it's about these two brothers who get stranded on an island. So it's basically and they're rich kids, and it's basically a Castaway, but instead of the stuff that comes up onto the shore as being useful, it's like party supplies and party hats, and then like a drug boat comes over and just a bunch of drugs land on the island, and there's just these two guys, and you know, they get like, you know, streamers and like it's just useless stuff. So that was kind of the joke. So we went to this island called Vieques, which is in the Bermuda Triangle. It's an island off the coast of Puerto Rico, off the east coast of Puerto Rico, and it is a crazy. I was dating a girl who had a friend, this director John Cameron Mitchell. Do you know him? He made Short Bus and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. He had a house there, and he needed a house sitter. Oh. So we went and house sat John Cameron Mitchell's house, right? And while we were there, we're like, we're going to scout this island. I want to shoot on an island. So we were looking around, and this place was a testing site for the U.S. military that was gifted from Spain after World War II, I believe. I might be getting some things wrong. It's been a long time since I've talked about this. But they tested all kinds of stuff there, like landmines and phosphorus and depleted uranium and all this stuff. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but you can look it up. I think it has one of the highest cancer rates in the world, this island. And it's also one of the most beautiful islands I've ever been to, with the most beautiful beaches. But this island is so crazy because there's like abandoned military bases there. And as we were there, and we were at this bar called Duffy's, that we were talking to one of the guys there, and he's like, you should make a zombie movie here. You shouldn't make a comedy, you should make a zombie movie. And we were kind of like, yes, we should. Because all the locations are crazy. There's like these underground tunnels of sugar mills and abandoned trains, and you know. And so we were a month out from shooting Boat Island, and we wrote Dead Season in 1 month. We were like, we gotta make a zombie movie instead. And we took our cast and we just switched it. We just like made this movie. And this woman that I was seeing at the time, she had gotten some money to make the film. We were going to make it for $20,000. Still very low, but we knew we could do it. Turns out she was not telling the truth, and she had actually, again, I'm not going to talk about who this person is, but she actually had been using me and my partner's credit cards to pay for a vacation for her and her boyfriend at the time, who was actually one of the guys at the bar that we met at Duffy's. She fell in love with him, and you know, they had a kid and all this stuff. But she was just using all of her money. So when we got to the island and we were ready to shoot, my credit card was emptied, and our account was emptied. It was a horrible situation. So we went to Banco Publico there, and we took out credit cards, me and Enzo, and we paid for the movie ourselves as we went, which was why I was saying this movie makes money, or we have to move back. I mean, we were just maxing out credit cards and taking out credit cards to make this film. The movie ended up, you say bigger budget, this movie ended up costing, I think after post and everything, about $110,000. We made that movie, and we shot on the island, and I was writing at night because the script was barely finished when we were doing it. So I was like rewriting it, and then the actors would come in and be like, this doesn't make sense. And so I'd fix it. And we were like, we were shooting it and writing it and doing the effects. And then like the effects person would be like, what are we doing tomorrow? And I'd be like, okay, I'm writing this head explosion. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. Like I don't know if you remember the movie, Kimberly, but there's a part at the end where we blow up a van. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? Do you remember the big explosion?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but it's, that wasn't in the script. That was an interesting thing because we had finished shooting pretty much. We finished like a couple days early, and we're like, all right, now we can just go to the beaches. But this producer that had kind of stolen this money from us, she was still on set. And I was like, when we leave, I need you to sell our crew van because I need some money back. And I was like, can you try and get $1,000 for it or $1,500? And she was like, well, I'm going to stay on the island. And I was like, okay, I don't care what you do, but can you just sell this thing? Because we have to leave. And she's like, no, I'm going to keep it. And I was like,
sorry.
What do you mean? I was like, what? And she's like, well, she's like, you're not going to be here. So what are you going to do about it? And I was like, what? And we had to leave. And I was like, I guess there's nothing I can do about that. But then I was talking to the rest of the crew, who all were very not happy with this woman. And I was like, guys, do you guys want to shoot another day tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, what do you need? And I was like, I think we need to blow up the van. And
blow up the van.
And she was like, what do you mean you're going to blow up the van? I was like, well, it's my van and you're not going to sell it. So we're going to burn it. And we're going to put it on film. And so that night, me and the rest of the crew in the cast, we wrote a new scene where they steal this van and they crash it into a wall of a building, and then they take a Molotov cocktail and they throw it at the van and they blow up some zombies. And so we shot that, and we called the fire department there, and they're like, can we blow up a van in the jungle? And they're like, yeah, sure. So we bought them a bottle of tequila, and they came with their fire truck. That was it. And we made homemade napalm out of grease and potato chips and whatever the heck it is. And we filled the van with it and gasoline, and we made Molotov cocktails, and we actually threw them at the van. There is on the DVD, the old DVD, I believe there's a behind the scenes where you can see us all trying to empty this rum container. So the whole crew's drinking it, and we fill it up and we throw it at the van and we blow it up, and it pans across the whole crew, and you can see this one person crying, and the rest of us are all laughing and cheering. And you can probably guess who the crying person was. But
that is awesome.
How we did that, and that was our crew van. That was the van that we bought in Puerto Rico, and since she wouldn't sell it, we blew it up. I don't know why I told that story. What does that have to do with anything?
This is awesome.
But yeah, so that's why we made the zombie movie there. It's just because the place was so awesome. Only one other film had been filmed there before us, and it was the original Lord of the Flies.
Cool.
So that was the same island. They're the only two films to film there, I believe. Wow. I think they shot one day for some Clint Eastwood movie, but that's so. But I also know that they had to dub Lord of the Flies. They couldn't use any of the dialogue because of all the roosters that were crowing at all hours. And we heard that story only after we started shooting. And my God, the roosters. Also, the U.S. military had to every Thursday, they had to gather bombs off the island because they had to, they were sweeping the island as we were there, and they'd have to blow them up. So on Thursday, we'd have to wait for like hours to just boom, boom, boom. You could hear it because the island's only 6 miles long or 5 miles long. So you just hear explosion after explosion, and we'd have to cut because the explosions kept happening. We even went to some locations that we like this old abandoned lighthouse we were going to shoot in, and we started driving down there, and this woman, the producer, she's like, said, yeah, I got the permit to go down there. And we get there and the gate's closed and we can't get through in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? You said you got the permit. Where's the key? She's like, oh, I don't have the key. So we're starting to cut the bolts, and we're like, okay, we'll just buy them a new things because we need to start shooting. And then the park rangers came and they're like, don't go down there. And I was like, I thought we got a permit. And they're like, there's landmines everywhere down there. And we're like, oh, okay. So this woman also lied to us about that and could have gotten us all killed.
Oh my God. Wow. What is this producer? Is she in the credits?
I'm not going to talk about that so I don't get sued.
Do you recovered all your losses? You made money on that? That's
we were shocked by that because again, I'm glad when people like it. I watched it recently because we just made the sequel, and I like it more now. But at the time, I was just like, because we were writing as we went. There's so many plot holes in that movie and things that you can see that we band-aided. Because we were still shooting that movie right up until we released it 2.5 years after we had done principal photography, because it's this doesn't make sense. But that's how sometimes movies are made, these low budget things. There's only so much you can do. And we tried really hard. That was our magnum opus at the time. And I do enjoy a lot of that film. So we had a screening, and our friend Andrew, who sold the film, he does a lot of movies. He does a lot of horror movies as well. He did a lot of Lucky McKee's films. He did The Woman, and my partner Enzo also did that movie. He did All Cheerleaders Die. I don't know if you know these films.
Okay.
He did a screening of it in Beverly Hills at this kind of fancy theater, and I was like, oh man, this is expensive. I don't know why we're doing this. He's like, trust me, we're gonna do it. We sold the movie that night, the first screening of the film. So we didn't even go to film festivals or anything.
Wow.
We got more. Our minimum guarantee, as I was talking about before, we got more than we used to pay for the film, just in the minimum guarantee. It was a different time.
Amazing.
And we were shocked. I was crying that night because the movie actually didn't play well at the theater. There was some kind of weird glitching happening, and the sound got messed up. And I was me and my partner Enzo were terrible. We left the screening. We ruined everything. Our lives are done. And then we came and he's like, hey, we already got 3 offers. No, we already got 1 offer. I think we should just take it. It was with Criterion Collection. It's called RLJ now, which is the Black Entertainment Television. I can't remember the name of the Image Entertainment it was called. I don't think that actually exists right now, but Yeah, but I think they own Criterion Collection and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, cool, you know,
Yeah.
my silly zombie movie, you know.
Yeah.
And then it did really well internationally, and then it went on Netflix, and they pay, you know, they pay a flat sum for it, and then Sci-Fi Channel plays a flat fee for it and everything, and it was like, wow. But that's the only movie that we've done that has actually had. But then again, right, because of that horrible situation with the other producer, my partner Enzo and I were these sole investors of the film. Well, actually, there was two other people that gave a little bit too. So we get points on the back of producer, director, like writer kind of thing, and we get investor points, which we got to actually keep money that normally we wouldn't get to keep. And then, you know, the company takes like the distributor takes like 30% or whatever, and then their sales agent takes like 10%, and you know, but it dwindles. But we were actually able to make more films after that because of it. Don't know if that'll happen again, you know, but yeah. But I think we just really lucked out, because the movie, again, I'm not trying to be humble or talk down to myself. I really don't think that that's a solid film. We just hit at the right time. It was The Walking Dead, I think, had just started, like the first season, and then it ended, and people loved it. You know, it was the Frank Darabont season, and it was just so wonderful. And it was right after that ended. So people wanted to, you know, maybe they got the recommendation. Oh, there's another zombie movie. Oh, it's on an island. That's different. You know, tropical zombies. That's cool. You know, and so people watched it, and people weren't very nice about it. It got very bad reviews, but people watched it. So I think it has like a 3.5 on IMDb or something. But you know, but it's okay. You know, we made something, and it was. You know, I still remember these stories now, and I'm still friends with all the people that, aside from one person, friends with all the people that worked on the movie. And like, I mean, it's like, it was like we went to war together, and, you know, and not war, but like, it was a really traumatic film to make. It was so hard, and it was miserable, but we like all were miserable together, and it was awesome. And we continue to do things to this day together, which is awesome. So I love making these things together, and that's the funnest part. It's just like especially with a low budget thing, it's like, it's not corporate. It's not, you know, you're not going for any like specific goal. You just want to make something because it's fun with your friends. I love that. I want to go back to that too, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I just love making stuff. Do you guys make films as well, or?
Carlos is making movies. Well, shorts anyway, so far.
Yeah.
Nice.
Been trying, but as
shorts
you know,
are the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, like we're actually trying to develop a series right now, so that seems to be the way the industry is going these days. But yeah, just trying to get some shit sold, and yeah.
Canada has some really great government funding. Like amazing stuff. I was the film before Decade of the Dead, I made a short. It was my first short I've ever made. It's a stop motion movie, drama, and we played at Edmonton Film Festival in Canada, and that was awesome. And I met so many Canadian filmmakers and from Quebec and stuff that they got their funding, like, you know, just from the government. They were like, oh yeah, this is great. I just, you know, I pitched it, and it's a long process, but it seemed amazing. We have nothing like that. Yeah, Edmonton was awesome film festival too. Yeah, I really with a short film, it was because I never really done the festival circuit, and it was so much fun. It was hard because it was during the pandemic, and you know, we had a kid, so it was like I would only go for part of the film festival and have to get back home immediately. But if you can really do the festival thing, I mean, I had to skip 30 film festivals, you know, that I wished I had gone to, you know. I only went to the Edmonton one because I had to go visit my mom for her 80th birthday. So I was like, I'll just go up there and then go to Massachusetts. So
cool.
But Edmonton was great. And that film, which I need to release it somewhere. It's a short film, but it's about a friend of mine who died. And it's a like a disability film about a man with Down syndrome, and totally different than anything I've ever done. And that one it was definitely the most fulfilling film I've ever made, because it was very personal. I know I did it during the pandemic because we were gonna make Decade of the Dead, but I can get to that. It got canceled because of my like producers was like on a respirator for like 9 days in a hospital after getting COVID on our location scout.
No.
It was right at the beginning, and we didn't know if
Yeah.
COVID really was. We heard about it, but we didn't, and so we had to cancel the movie. So I was like, fuck, I got to do something. So I sat in my garage for 1.5 years moving puppets.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. I want to see it.
Yeah, I do need to. I want to put it out there. I got to do that on the checklist of things to do. I got to find like some short film showcase to put it in, like the Vimeo things or something. But yeah, it was fun to do the festival thing. I'd never done it before. I met so many awesome people. I wish I could do that more, but it's making a short film that was totally by myself. And I want to do more stop motion, but it just takes so long. I just don't,
Yeah.
The movie's only 9 minutes long. It took me 1.5 years, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
can I say something about Dead Season? I like the movie for the reason so many people hate it. Tweeter and Elvis. First of all, that movie's for the female gays. Dudes who watch zombie movies not trying to see that movie. But every person I know who owns that movie, a physical copy, is a woman. And we be talking about that movie. We love that movie. And the fact that both of them survived to the end, and it wasn't torture porn. It wasn't, I mean, there's some nudity, but it was, again, it's for the female gays. So I can see why the dudes were like, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
The women were like, I love this movie. This is my favorite horror movie.
That's so interesting.
I watch that movie still very regularly.
Oh,
and
great.
while not the strongest on the writing, I'm a story kind of person. I don't care. That's beside the point. I love that movie, and I still watch it regularly.
That's great. Thank you. It's also interesting that you have the same problems with it as me. So that's like, it's pretty vindicating for myself too. So I don't.
And when I got Decade of the Dead and I saw that there was another Dead Scene, I was like, yes, I'm gonna need a spare. Because I watch it so much, and I noticed I hadn't seen any more physical copies of Dead Season. Not as easy to get. So
Well, yeah, we got the rights back to it after, because it had its run. So we're gonna we re-released it, I guess, with it. I also wanted to do like a 3-disc thing where we put Mental Dead on it as like a bonus feature too, because that $80 movie, because it's the first zombie movie I made. But again, the sales for Decade have been so terrible that we haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet. I still want to do it because I just want my physical copy of those movies. I think it would be fun. But yeah. Funny you mentioned that too, because I mean, what's it called? The Bechdel test? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Bechdel test, yeah.
Yeah. That movie hits it, right? I mean, and the sequel even way more. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's all the main characters are women. As you notice, Scott Peet, the guy who played Elvis, is not in the sequel.
Yes.
There's a picture of him in it. We were hoping that if this one did well, we would have done the reason for that. We would have done not a prequel, but a middle quill. I don't know what you call that. I don't know if we will do that now. But Scott was going to be in it up until the very end, and we had to pivot really quickly because he got a job and he was running out of his health insurance, and he got a job on a big Christoph Waltz film called Dead for a Dollar. I don't it's a Western.
Yeah.
Not the Walter Hill movie?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Scott, that was shooting at the exact same time as our movie, and we couldn't switch it. So we had to and we couldn't pay enough for Scott to keep his insurance. It was something like that. So he really wanted it. It was so hard for us. It was such a bummer to not have Scott back. But that was it. It was just like scheduling conflict like 3 weeks before we were going to shoot. but he needed to do it he needed his health insurance, obviously. Stupid America. And so that's why we have Sean Patrick Thomas taking his role. It's a different character, obviously, but you can probably hear a lot of, we didn't change a ton of the dialogue because we didn't have time. So it's like, it's the other characters' lines are a little bit into his, so it's totally different. And not exactly what we had planned, obviously, but that's how movies go. I think he did a really wonderful job, and but somebody does die in it. So
yeah,
somebody does die. Speaking of nudity, about the first movie, Marissa, who plays Tweeter, her thing, oh my god, in this movie, because she does not get naked in the second one, and she was just like, can you please write a scene where I take off my shirt? And I was like, Marissa, I don't know how to do that in this film. It doesn't make any sense. She's like, I can, there's like a medical tent and I have to take it. I was like, Marissa, why? She just is obsessed with getting naked in the movies. So she's in the sequel to Yeti, and she's like, you need to write nude scenes for me. And I'm like, okay. So we like literally added a scene that we wrote. It was the last thing we wrote for the Yeti movie, where she comes into a room naked and somebody gets mad at her, and so she puts on a shirt that has 2 holes cut where her boobs are, so she just stays naked throughout it. So she's like, that's what she wanted to do. So I think also in Dead Season, it was like, she's like, you just gotta, I want to be naked in this movie. So okay, Marissa. That's great. Marissa is funny. It's kind of, you can always cut this out, I guess. Sure. I got to tell you a funny story about Marissa. So when we were doing Dead Season, it was like 2 weeks before we were going to go to Puerto Rico, and we didn't have a tweeter. We didn't have an actor. I didn't know Marissa at the time. So Enzo and I, we were like freaking out because we had all this casting and we just couldn't find somebody that worked for it. We were having a really hard time, and especially for our no budget movie, it was hard. Just like, hey, you got to go to Puerto Rico for a month, 2 weeks, kind of thing. It was hard. So we kind of gave up. We were like so depressed. And one night we were just like looking at, we like bad movies, and we were looking at like, bad trailers, right? Like terrible things, and laughing, and having a good time. And we were watching some website, it doesn't matter, but it was like a connection to a connection of somebody. We're like, oh yeah, this guy makes bad movies, sort of. And we looked at this trailer. It was a movie that never came out, called Photographic, right? It was like about some like killer photographer or something. And I was watching the trailer, and then we were laughing because it's terrible. But I saw a person in that trailer, and I was just like, this looks terrible, but like that's the person that I want to play Tweeter, like somebody like that. And we couldn't find this person's name, but or we didn't remember it or something. And I was just like, just somebody that looks like that, just like red hair and kind of tomboy kind of thing. And I was like, that was it, right? And then Enzo put up a Craigslist ad because he's like, I'm just last ditch effort, I'm just gonna put up a Craigslist ad. And he said, hey, we need somebody to come to Puerto Rico. Blah, blah, blah. I gotta be able to use a gun, blah blah blah. And then we went out for dinner, and we came back and we watched a few more videos. One was something called Friday the 13th, The Storm. It was like a fan Friday the 13th video. And there was a woman in it named Crystal Swarsky. I think it was a fake name, and we were laughing at this movie, and we're like, oh my God, this is so bad. It's so stupid. And it's important that I tell this part of it, but it doesn't really matter. So the next day we have like an appointment to get some equipment, and we're driving back from the appointment. Remember, so we're in LA. The Friday the 13th movie was shot in Massachusetts, I believe, or New York. Okay. This short film. And that Photographic movie, I think, was also over there. We're driving back we were at the bank. We were driving back from the bank to get money for our movie. And I see a minivan coming the other way, a white beat up minivan. And I go to Enzo, I was like, that looks just like the van from Friday the 13th, The Storm, that woman, Crystal Swarsky, was leaning against. Remember, this is nothing, there's no connection to anything in LA. And Enzo's like, I think it is that van. It has the exact same dent. I was like, ha ha ha. Right. We pull up at a red light. They are in a traffic coming the other direction. I look over, and it is the woman that we had looked at, that Crystal Swarovski woman, in that movie that was shot in Massachusetts, that we had never thought about, that it was shot like 5 years prior. That woman was sitting next to us in traffic. So I look over at her and I go like this, and she rolls down the window and she's like, yeah. And I was like, hi, are you in a movie called Friday the 13th, The Storm? She goes, yeah. And I was like, is your name Crystal Swarovski? She's like, yeah. What? And then the light changed and we go, bye. What are the odds of this stupid video that nobody's seen? It had like 4 views, right? And that person was driving by us. Wild. We get back home, all depressed that we can't find a tweeter. 2 people write back to that Craigslist report, that Craigslist post from the night before. And we're like, okay, fine. We look at one of them, yeah, whatever. We look at the other one. And there's a link to the site that we had just been on the night before, to that trailer for Photographic was one of the things this woman put up. It was the woman I had pointed to and said, that's the type of person that I want in our role for the movie. And that was Marissa, who starred in the movie.
That's awesome.
There is no way that could have happened, that we saw both those people that day from a thing that we had before, and I had just pointed at a random woman online out of 7 billion people. I pointed to that person. I said, I want that person. And then she wrote us an email the next day. And that's now one of my best friends. So
that's awesome.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
Don't know how that happened. But I don't know what happened to Crystal Swarovski, but we did get to see her. And her minivan.
This is the #1 place for macabish cults, classics, and horrors. For synopsis, reviews, and news, go to macabish.com. Thank you for listening. Signing out until the next one.